What up, this is my WWE, TNA, and Ring of Honor thoughts of this week. Obviously, the main thing coming out of WWE this week is obviously the new general manager of Monday Night Raw, which is Mike Adamle. Now, this is not a terrible idea, but, you know, it's not the greatest thing they could do. I do got to admit, WWE did throw a curveball. You know, pretty much probably everyone was expecting, you know, something like Shane as general manager or William Regal just filling back into the role. Then they just, you know, threw it out of left field with Mike Adamle as GM. Now, there could be some good things in this if WWE does it right. And, you know, I'm not going to be one person that's going to be bitching about Mike Adamle as GM because it's just a GM role. And pretty much Mike Adamle is pretty hateable. You know, without even getting on the mic, the crowd hates him. So he can generate heel heat without even doing anything. And, you know, it could work out good. You know, he could be one of those top GM heels, obviously, with Vicky Guerrero kind of being, I guess, a face or tweener, because I still don't technically refer to her as a face, but definitely she's not, you know, a heel anymore. So, you know, but yeah, she's definitely started being a face. So now they have to have, you know, a top heel on the Raw brand as far as general manager to balance it out, and they pick Mike Adamle. If they go on the route, which could be one good thing in this, and I've heard a few people mention this on, you know, some wrestling sites and stuff, that if they went on the route of Mike Adamle, you know, being the pissed off guy and going against, you know, everyone, running roughshod as general manager, and, you know, running with it as, you know, all the wrestlers and all the commentators and pretty much everyone in WWE views Mike Adamle, at least his character, as, you know, a joke as far as the on-screen character goes. And, you know, if they just have Mike Adamle say, I'm not going to be treated as a joke anymore, look how much power I got, and I look how much stroke I got in this company, I can do whatever I want, you know, just have him, you know, book, you know, some of the most outlandish stuff and just do some good stuff with it. It could work out being something good. Now on to the other thing as far as WWE, which is one topic some people are thinking WWE is rushing too quick of doing, and that's the first ever John Cena versus Batista match at this year's SummerSlam. Now, yes, I do agree that this should have been a match built up, you know, for a few months and not given away on SummerSlam. You know, SummerSlam still is one of the big pay-per-views of the year, but this would have worked out better with a, you know, 5 to 6 month build, you know, where they wouldn't really touch each other that much. You do just tag matches, triple threats, four-way, stuff like that. Then they finally meet each other, you know, either at the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, and something like that could work out great, but now they're just throwing it away on SummerSlam. Not saying it's not going to be a good match, because I'm actually expecting it to be a very good match. You know, John Cena, you know, has improved a whole lot within the last year or two. And I got to say, Batista, when Batista wants to show up, he can put on a good match. So, you know, this could be a very enjoyable match between the two. But, yeah, like some people say, it does feel like it's just a filler and given away too early. But, you know, it's not going to stop it from being a good match, though. Then on to, you know, the other big match for SummerSlam, which is the Hell in a Cell match between Undertaker versus Edge. And definitely this is one match I'm looking forward to a lot. You know, this could be, you know, a really incredible match. This could possibly be one of the top Hell in a Cells of all time. Not saying it's going to top the original one or top Triple H and Cactus Jack from No Way Out, because those two, in my opinion, are the top two Hell in a Cells of all time. But this could potentially be one of the top Hell in a Cells of all time, and could be a very good way to do it. And obviously, you know, with them doing the Hell in a Cell, pretty much this is going to end the Edge versus Undertaker feud, instead of them having, you know, going on the route of having them two take on each other in two singles matches, then building up to the Hell in a Cell. I think it's a good position to put them back in the Hell in a Cell, have Undertaker and Edge take on each other. This could be an incredible match. Then on to the other matches of SummerSlam, which no one cares about, which is the SmackDown World Title match with Khali and Triple H. Actually, the one time I'm hoping Triple H keeps a hold of the title then. Mark Henry versus Matt Hardy, which isn't going to be good at all. Some TNA news, which pretty much the main TNA news of this week is Tomko and TNA parted ways, and Tomko is no longer with TNA. And this is pretty big news for TNA. I wouldn't say he's one of those guys that, you know, it's a huge loss for TNA, but he's one of those guys. I've never been the hugest fan of him, but I do got to admit TNA did do a good job of making him into a credible star, making it look like he could potentially main event, and looked like he could have potential in a future world title match. It would have been a whole lot better to have Tomko as your dominated big man in the company, as a heel or a face, other than Matt Morgan, which I don't view Matt Morgan as good at all. He's completely boring. I don't see why the crowd enjoys him. Maybe, TNA throws, shirts to the whole entire crowd and says, hey, cheer for this guy when he comes to the ring and whenever he does something. Because I can't see why people cheer for Matt Morgan. Sure, he's a big guy, but he's not that impressive. It's like, whoa, look at this guy. He's fucking impressive. It's nothing like that. But Tomko's not a huge loss, like I said, to TNA, but, like I said, it looked like he had a lot of potential if TNA would have kept booking him in a good way. And, pretty much ever since he turned heel against all odds, pretty much hasn't been doing anything. And then obviously missing the Fan Fest and going to a date in Japan and still hurt him as well. So, possibly, it looks like he kind of burnt his bridge with TNA. So I doubt we'll be seeing him back there anytime in the future. But, possibly see him return to Japan full-time or, work some U.S. indie dates for a little bit. And then at some point in the future, return back to WWE. But pretty much, since TNA made it look like Tomko had potential, WWE is not going to use him at all. I doubt it, even though Vince McMahon is one of those guys that pretty much, is a mark for the big man. And possibly, with Tomko, really rejuvenated his career and, really improving ever since he first went to Japan. Possibly Vince will want to get him back. And, he's not a guy I would say I want to see as world champion, though. That's one thing. I think that's too much of a stretch for him. But he could have been a great contender, though. He could have. Some other TNA topic I want to rant about, and this is involving a TNA spoiler for next week's Impact. So if you don't want to hear the spoiler, cut this video off, or or just turn the sound down for maybe a minute or two. And this is involving next week on Impact. They're going to have the Motor City Machine Guns take on someone, and obviously they lose the match. Then after the match, it looks like they're going to be building up to a breakup of the Motor City Machine Guns with Sabin and Shelley. And this will be completely idiotic. They're the most over tag team in TNA. They're the most over talent. Their merchandise sells so much. And this will be fucking idiotic. But we all know if it does happen, it will be one of those long, drawn-out TNA things that will probably take 6 to 9 months until it actually happens that they break up. And by the time they break up, it will lose so much steam that no one will care about. But hopefully they don't do this. I'm a huge fan of Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin as singles wrestlers, but they could possibly be the tag team that could really rejuvenate TNA's tag division. If they would have had a LAX versus Motor City Machine Guns feud for a little while, build it up during the summer, and then end it at, Bound for Glory, their biggest pay-per-view, this could have been something tremendous. It could have been, one of the best tag team feuds of a long time as far as the mainstream wrestling of WWE and TNA go, and hopefully they don't do this and break up tag teams, but seems like within mainstream wrestling, tag teams don't last that long for some reason. That's a thing I really hate about, the mainstream wrestling, is they don't focus on tag team wrestling. Pretty much anyone that wants to know why I'm such a big fan of Ring of Honor is because of its, focus on the tag team wrestling. Pretty much, I view tag team wrestling as important, if not more important, than the singles division. So, you have to have a strong singles division, you have to have a strong tag division. I feel TNA's trying to have somewhat of a better main event title picture, but they're not doing a good job with the tag division. A feud like LAX and Motor City Machine Guns, like I said, could be something incredible, and, doesn't look like they're going to do it. Hopefully they don't break them up at all, because I think that would be completely idiotic for them to do. It'd be, one of their worst decisions of all time. Then to some Ring of Honor news. Pretty much the only Ring of Honor news I want to get out is tomorrow night on pay-per-view, they're going to be airing their Respect Is Earned 2 pay-per-view, which is only $10 to $15 depending on your cable provider. If you have Dish or cable, you're pretty much able to get it no matter where you live. But for customers of DirecTV, it's still not available on there, but definitely looks like it's a pay-per-view worth checking out. Looks from top to bottom, looks like it could be a great show. A lot of good stuff on there, especially the Fight Without Honor between Eric Stevens versus Roger Strong. Then the tag match with Austin Aries and Bryan Danielson versus the Age of the Fall of Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black, which I've heard is an incredible tag match. So definitely check that out if you can tomorrow night. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts for this week as far as wrestling. I'll hit you up with some Ring of Honor DVD reviews coming up. There's pretty much a good amount of Ring of Honor DVDs I still have to catch up and watch. And probably going to be doing some reviews coming up soon. And maybe a PWG Sells Out DVD review. And just pretty much anything. So just look out for that. And, as I said, probably do a Q&A next week or the following week. Pretty much it looks like probably the following week. But if I do feel like doing it, I'll do it next week. And, yeah, that's it. Peace.